Welcome! In this series of short videos, we will give an introduction to those who have never used PowerBasic before or even considered taking up programming. Today, we will look at variables. Variables are basically containers of information. They can be created, destroyed, or updated with data. In the creation of your programs, you will create many different types of variables. Each variable will have a name, allowing you to manipulate it in your code. So the types of variables you'll be using are, firstly, string variables to hold text data, next a range of numeric variables to hold number data, and there are also a series of user-defined types, which can hold a hybrid collection of data. More on those in later videos. So let's have a look at some code in action. This is one of the programs from our last video. This is a PowerBasic Windows compiler version of the Hello World application. This has only one functional line of code, using a message box to send the string of characters Hello World to the user. In this command, the words Hello World are enclosed in double quotes. What we're going to do today is we're going to introduce a variable to allow you to use that with the message box command. While there's nothing to stop you naming your variables in any way you wish, it makes a great deal of sense to give your variables a name that means something. So while declaring our local variable called A as a string, if we make it something more memorable, for example the word message, so anytime we see the word message, we'll know that's a message variable. I'm also going to add a prefix to the beginning of the name of the variable, the three letters str. This is a naming convention which is used by some developers. Therefore, anytime you see the variable name strMessage, you'll know that it is str standing for string, and the variable is going to be holding a message. This makes your code more readable, because in time, when you come back to the code you have written several weeks or even months ago, you'll find it easier to understand what your program is doing if the variables have names which match their function. Since we're inside the PB main function, which is the main function which is executed when your program begins, we're declaring this variable as a local variable. This means the scope of the variable only exists within the PB main function. So any value we put into this variable will only be usable within this function itself. You can declare global variables outside of functions, and they hold their value throughout the entire run of your program. However, for what we're doing here, a local variable will do just fine. You can populate the variable with some characters by using the construct let, and whatever the name of the variable is, equals, and then in double quotes, the text you wish to put into that variable. Traditionally the word let was used, but in many modern basics it assumes the word let. So all we have to write is the name of the variable equals and then the value in double quotes. So now that we've populated this variable, we can then substitute our hard-coded string of characters for the name of the variable. So the function of this program is to create a variable called strMessage, to populate that variable with a string of characters, and then use the message box command to display the content of that variable to the user. So if we try running that program now, we'll see it will display our message box with Hello World. While this program displays to the user exactly what the previous program did, we are using a variable. And the advantage of using a string variable is that you can add string variables together. If we created another variable, we can add both of these variables together to pass to our message box command. If we run that now, it would have Hello World Tom. If you wanted a space between the words Hello World and Tom, then you could either do that by adding a space in here, so you're adding a variable to a space character to another variable, in to one of the variables itself. At the top of our application, we're using the command dim all. This is an instruction to the compiler that all variables must be declared before use. Our program is operating fine because we have declared both of our variables. If we commented one of these out and then tried to run the program again, the compilation would fail because our variable str name has not been declared. Having this setting in your application is an advantage. If you mistype one of your variables and then attempt to run the program, it will tell you that the variable you're attempting to use, in this case strnama, does not exist. In any programming system where it allows you to use variables without declaring them first, there's always a danger that a typo in your code, possibly quite far away from where the variables would have been defined, would allow the program to run and give you strange results, because the variable not being declared would be effectively empty. This would make it difficult to debug your code. However, having dim all at the beginning of your code will stop that happening, and only variables which have been declared can be populated. So today we've done a short introduction to string variables. A string variable can hold any type of text. What we'll do in our next video is we will look at numeric variables, what they are and what they can be used for. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching.